Hello YouTube, good evening FPL family. Welcome to this next live stream with me, Lee. This is Sam, we are FPL Family, and we'll be talking tonight about double game week 39. It's announced, the fixtures are out there, FPL's coming back, football's coming back. It's coming back like on the hour, every hour as well, by the way. Like throughout the whole day, Saturday and Sunday.
Can't get any childcare though, can we, to watch it all?
What's
happening to the kids?
Yeah, kids, just amuse yourselves for a little bit. Nice knowing you through the lockdown. Really nice to get to know the kids a little bit better during lockdown.
Now go to your room.
Now can you please go to your room for 9 hours because Mummy and Daddy are watching the football. Yes, absolutely. First things first, Sam. Got loads of regulars in tonight. We had loads of regulars in last week for our first live stream back since lockdown. It was great to see you all last week, but we've got some even more regular names in tonight. We've got Mr. Wynyard is here, Steve Wynyard is here.
Hello.
We've got
it's the Sam versus Steve derby to kick us off.
It is, isn't it? It's Spurs United, isn't it? Ooh, I want to hear from Steve. What do you think, Steve? Score predictions, score predictions.
Don't ask to hear from Steve, I'll get a load of abuse.
I know, I don't think we need to ask to hear from Steve. I think we will hear. I think we will hear.
Wait, let's wait for it. There'll be something will pop up.
And we're going to say hello to all of you guys in a minute, and not least to Carl Vynyard. Carl popped up about 10 minutes ago with a super chat to kick us off. So Carl, thank you very much for the super chat, just to say he's missed us. And he hasn't been here for a while.
Carl.
What a guy, Carl. Thank you very much for the super chat. But before we even get into any of that, guys, what is in the mug this evening?
Oh no, I'm back on the tea.
Back on the tea. Get in the live chat, guys. Tell us if you were a little bit disappointed about that.
Well, the thing is, it's...
The guys were kind of looking forward to another night on the toffee, not toffee vodka. What was it?
Pineapple.
Taboo flavoured vodka from last week.
Pineapple and tropical fruits.
Some good feedback on Twitter about
It's delicious.
the way that you came across in the live stream.
Oh no.
Some good feedback last week.
Well, it was delicious, and to be honest, I did think about it, but it is freezing here today.
Cup of tea to warm the cockles.
Yeah, so I needed a cup of tea today.
The taboo would have warmed you up as well.
No, it wouldn't have. But when the temperature rises, the taboo is ready to come back out again. Honestly, it's delicious.
The guys on the comments in YouTube last week, the Twitter feedback was, yeah, Sam analyses FPL better when she's off cut. That's the way it came. Just the feedback I had.
Well, it was lovely.
I know that you enjoyed it. Yeah, I just took one smell of the bottle. I was like, no thanks, smells absolutely
delicious.
disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us this evening. I don't even know what episode we're on right now of FPL Family for this season.
853.
I don't know.
No
We're
idea.
like episode 40 something. I don't know. But nevertheless, the fixtures are announced, guys. So this time last week, we were talking about what we thought the fixtures might look like. We were talking about a potential double game week. Now we know what the fixtures look like and we know what the double game week looks like. So we will, of course, be very focused on those fixtures. We'll be talking about some of the double game week players as well, ones to look out for. And we'll take a little bit of a longer term view over the next 3 to 4 game weeks as to which teams we should be investing in as well. There's a couple of teams in there that we probably want to look at. There's a couple of teams that you probably don't. We spoke a little bit last week about some of the mid-table teams. We spoke about the Evertons, the Palaces, who else was in there? Newcastle potentially. And what are those guys going to play for? We're not sure what the motivations of those sides. Nevertheless, there are still 6 clubs at the top, maybe even 7 or 8. And of course 4 or 5, maybe even 6 at the bottom that are playing for something. There is something to play for in those games. And of course we're going to be analysing the teams you should be looking at. And we'll be looking at some double game week players as well. Now I've just noticed, I've kept the TV on. We have a TV right in front of us and I have Sky Sports news on. So I'm going to turn that off, lest it get in my way, Sam. Lest it get in my way. Let's say hello to a few people, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Oh, one thing to just tell you about.
Hang on.
One thing. Because
If lockdown has learned...
I've been learning some new stuff.
If lockdown has taught me anything, it's that Lee is dangerous when he learns how to use new bits of technology.
Yeah, I've been learning.
Tonight's live stream may be a prime example of that.
We have come a long way, Sam from FPL Family, since the days of recording this nonsense on my phone and the police interrupting. For those of you that are old school
We haven't had a police
FPL
interruption
Family,
for a long time.
FPL Family subscribers from yonder, you will know of the absolute garbage we used to put out. The police would turn up, we'd have the kids waking up. It was just, but we are of course now far more professional and we have transitions, Sam.
And I
we
drink
have
taboo.
You're on the vodka. That was a one-off. I get the feeling that was a one-off. I think the tea is more. That's a bit more in line with your brand.
Well, let's
Couldn't think of a better phrase.
line with my brand. Let's see what happens when Spurs play Man United.
But
If Spurs win, I'll come in with a taboo.
you're going off track. Get me back on track, Sam.
Lee wants to
The
talk about his
transitions.
graphics.
Now, This is hopefully something, guys, that you're going to see
God.
more of as we go into FPL Family. But tonight is the night. I'm going to start trying some of this stuff out.
Stream
You
it,
will
break.
have already seen, if you guys are following us on Twitter, at FPL Family. And I have sent you some for Instagram as well.
And Facebook.
At FPL Family over there. And I think you've been putting on the Facebook as well, for you Facebookers. We have got some transitions tonight. Let me show you, from now on in FPL Family videos, Sam, including these live streams, how we're going to go from this pure webcam mode into the main hello screen. Let me just show you this. Let me just see if this works.
Okay.
Hold on. Silence, please. So gonna go wrong.
Oh, you're gonna break
Ready?
it. Oh, you
Did that
break
work?
it.
Did it work?
Did you see it?
Come on, guys, get in the chat. Did it work? Did it sound alright? Was it laggy? Was it rubbish? I want some feedback on this because let's just hold on 1 second. Yeah, back and then ready. How are we feeling about that, Sam? How are we feeling about that?
Wow.
I personally love it. I'd love to hear your comments, guys. If you're watching the replay, get in the comments below. Let us know what you think of these transitions. I've already played the YouTube sting, the thing about subscribe to our channel stuff. I've played that before. I'll play it at the end again. I have got some more animations to come later on in the video, so stay tuned for that.
Where's the
Stay
teacup
tuned.
one?
People are saying, oh, here we go. Crackerjack is in, he's saying sexy. Thanks, Crackerjack. Azzy's saying snazzy. Very good, Azzy, saying snazzy. Otto just says yes. Gianpolo says, haha, wowza. Neil is in, he's saying all fancyly. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Carrie256, don't like the sound. Sorry, Carrie.
What kind of sound is it? We can't hear the sound. What does it do?
It kind of goes like that. It kind of goes like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Might think about how I might change that just for Carrie.
Okay. Well, I mean, Carrie is important.
Carrie is an important guy in these streams. Absolutely right. Charles Annan, it's cool. Thank you, Charles. Notorious Nerd just puts a laughing emoji, so I don't...
Because
Is it
you've
good
gone
or
mad.
bad? Notorious, I don't know. Tell us what you think. FPL Tips is here. Good evening, Tips. How we doing? Shifo is in. He just says, haha, it's great, in capital letters. Overwhelmingly good feedback here, Sam.
You've just given him free reign now. God only knows. By the time 2021 starts, heaven forbid what we're going to look like.
To be fair, Carrie's feedback is just that the sound is too loud. Carrie, we can change that. That's an easy fix.
Loud.
That's an easy fix, Carrie. We can sort that out. FPL Schwartz is in. Martin, how are you doing? He's saying fancy. Yes, fancy. Here we go. MU Fan TV. I knew Lee was on the keyboard even before I just saw him. Yeah, I've been working hard over lockdown. All these Sundays that we've not had live streams, I've been putting the time and effort into making the live streams bigger and better and badder and more animated by the time we get back. That's what I've been trying to do.
And apparently sexy and what else?
And apparently sexy and snazzy. Tommy Tom, hello Tommy, he's saying budget blown, exclamation mark. Zero budget, Tommy, zero budget. Mark Dorney, bloody noisy. Okay, so the feedback is it's a bit loud. I can tone that down, guys.
You need
I
to
can
calm
tone
it
that
down.
Don't worry, okay. Let's see, Brian Springer, very sci-fi. Okay, thanks very much. Josh is in, FPL telling, hey Josh, how are we doing? Another week of graphics tinkering before you can team tinker. Yes, well, we will be getting into that,
Yeah,
guys.
I wonder if Josh has
bit
got a point
later
here.
on.
I wonder if once you can tinker with your team,
That's
this
it.
graphics is going to go out the window.
This is
There'll
a
be no more.
5-minute novelty. It's going to just
There'll be no
completely
more.
disappear, isn't it?
I think Josh is right.
I think he's probably
Yeah,
right
I
as
think
well.
he's right, yeah.
I think he's probably
I think Josh
right.
knows you better than you do.
Well, listen, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about obviously fixtures, double game weeks, double game week players, as well as, like I say, the sort of short to medium term. Who's got good fixtures on the horizon? And we will, towards the end of the live stream, have a look back at our teams. We touched on our teams last week, a week on. I want to see how you're feeling about your team.
Okay.
I sort of started to get a bit of a feel that there's one or two in that team of mine that I'm really not that keen on having. I feel like I need to do something with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for example. And I just looked a second ago and I read I've got Patricio in goal. I've got double Wolves defence with Patricio and Doherty, which feels a bit weird. I don't know why I've done that. But we will have a look back at our teams and we'll see how we feel a week on from this time last week. So let's get into it, guys. But before we do,
Oh no.
we've got
another transition
there's
coming up.
going to be more videos here, but we have to say a massive thank you first and foremost. We have to say a massive thank you. And we did a lot of thank yous last week because a lot of you guys have stuck with us throughout the lockdown. We haven't had a massive exodus on Twitter. We had a few leaving us on Twitter. If you left us on Twitter, come back. We still love you. Come back. We love you. But we didn't have a massive, dive off on subs and a lot of the patrons, which we absolutely love you guys. You stuck around and you stuck with us. And then the next day we get told that we're nominated for a Football Content Award, which is absolutely fantastic, guys. We want to thank every single one of you that went and tweeted I'm voting for FPL Family in the FCAs. Everyone that took the time to go to the website and select us from the drop down and get us there. We're absolutely delighted to be nominated and going to the FCA. So thank you guys. Brilliant.
Honestly, it was one of those things, wasn't it, when you open the email and you just like, we spoke, didn't we, on the live streams before about how it would just be amazing.
You were so keen on just to be there, weren't you?
Just
as well?
wanted to be
Spurs
nominated.
Stadium.
It's at the Spurs Stadium. I just wanted to be able to go. And then when that email dropped and I was like...
Do you know the worst thing about... Not the worst thing, but one of the things about that email is we got it Sunday morning, didn't we? And we had a message from Oliver, who runs the FCAs, and he said, "Oh, congratulations, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Please don't tell anybody until Monday." So we sat here last Sunday talking to you guys, knowing that we were nominated and going, "Can't talk about it."
Couldn't talk about it, had to wait for that. And then it was like... And Oliver hadn't said what time that they were going to announce the nominations on the Monday. So it was like, we both were like... announced it already, I want to talk about it. But yeah, unbelievable. Like, honestly, we just can't thank you all enough. We're so grateful for all of your support.
Should be a great night as well. If you think about the other guys that have been nominated, not just in the video category, but the guys that have been nominated in podcasts, and in all the other, it's going to be, I think, a really, really great FPL community night. It should be really, really great. And of course, we will be tweeting, blogging, potentially even live streaming. I haven't thought about how that's going to work yet, but there will be
driving to a wedding.
There'll be videos and stuff. Oh. Yes, that's actually true. There is one of my best friends, or our best friends, are getting married in Yeovil the next day. So I don't know how much I can have to drink at the FCA.
We're going to have to leave Spurs and drive to Yeovil in the middle of the night.
That's going to be tricky. But like nevertheless,
3-hour drive.
Nevertheless, it is still going to be a great night. And we're going to have a lot of the FPL community there, which is great.
The Planet FPL boys, the boys from Who Got the Assist, obviously Nymphria, boys from Scout. It'll be be a great night. I've missed somebody, I'm sure of it. But it'll be a great night just to see everybody and to be in the Spurs Stadium, and maybe, could we win it?
Well, listen, we are so grateful to be there, there's no doubt about it. But, guys, if you would like to vote for us to win at the FCAs in the Best in Fantasy Football video category, we would love you to vote for us again. I know that we've already voted to get us there. We need your help again to help us win it. So, there's the link on the screen. It's in the description below as well. I'm going to be talking about this for another 2 minutes. If you want to leave the video and vote for us and come back, that is absolutely cool. If you want to wait till the end of the video, and of course we'll be plugging it again.
If you're watching us on the TV. Who was watching us on the TV?
Yeah, one of the guys, was it Cracker Jack, I think, said he was watching something with his missus and he's turned it off so that he can watch us on his 42-inch TV, which is absolutely brilliant.
Sorry, wife.
Yeah, sorry, wifey. Yeah. But if you're watching on your laptop, get your phone out. Get to FCAs. The website is on the, like I say, it's on the screen there. It's in the link below as well. Go vote for us in the Best in Fantasy Football video category, and we will love you long time. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Friends, whoever's email addresses, and vote for us through them as well.
Even if they don't care about FPL.
Don't care, vote for us.
Even if they're just like, what is, you're just watching them two silly little people again on a Sunday, just say, hey, that's Lee and Sam.
Got a couple of kids, use their email addresses to vote. Why not?
Your cat got an email address.
Yeah, anyone that's got an email.
Yes, get involved. Anyone that's got an email.
We'd be really grateful.
Absolutely sensational. So guys, there we are. Voting is now live, and you've got, I think, about a week to do it. About a week to vote in the FCAs.
And then we won't hear anything until
And then we're not going to hear anything until November, which is when we will be going down to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to the event itself. So goodness knows how the FCA are going to keep it quiet for that long. But listen, you've got a week to get your votes in, then voting closes, then we've all got to wait months and months and months. And hopefully, fingers crossed, of course, the event can go ahead as planned in November. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Mark Dorney's in, he's saying, voted already. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. The Zombie is in, he's just saying Spurs are the best.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I could lift a trophy in the stadium.
Not sure about that, Zombie. Not sure about that. But if you could vote for us, mate, that would be absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I can't take the Spurs vote.
Josh is saying, voted. Good luck. You guys deserve it. Thank you, Josh. Absolutely sensational. One Rovers Vlogs is in. He's saying, already voted. Guys, we love you. We love you. Thank you very much for voting. Thank you very much for voting. Sam, we've got to talk about FPL at some stage.
Let's do it.
Got to talk about FPL at some stage. And we've got to talk about fixtures because the fixtures are live. We now know what Gameweek 39, double Gameweek 39 indeed, looks like. And of course, the teams with a double are Arsenal, Manchester City, Sheffield United and Aston Villa. We'll be talking about those guys in a bit more detail later on. But give me your feel, give me your kind of first impressions of what double Gameweek 39 and the rest of those fixtures look like in the context of your team. Because
my team.
What sort of shape is your team in given these fixtures? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean the reality is, and we had a conversation, didn't we? We were talking off camera about this whole, how will the game relaunch, what will it look like, and my view is still very much the same as it was last week. I'm a little bit down on my soapbox that I'm not going to go rioting around about unlimited transfers anymore, but
that was great. I love that. Yeah. that got a good reaction last week as well. The no new transfers, no new wild card. What was it?
No new wildcard. Yeah.
No new wildcard. Was that the chance?
I don't know. I can't
Gavin
remember.
was the pioneer last
All
week.
I know is that the taboo. It was the taboo talking. My team, because the fixtures have come out in exactly the order that they were going to be played in, I kind of feel like, well, my team was where it was. My intention, if we think way back to life before quarantine.
Yeah.
Are
you warm? I'm getting a bit warm. Just going to open this window.
Gosh, she's hot.
Getting passionate about the FCAs.
Well, yeah. Was actually that I had another game week in my team, and then there'll be a wild card, and I still feel like I've got another week in my team, and then there'll be a wild card.
Yeah.
The fact that we've now got this big double game week, which will be, as I said last week, probably the only double game week, because the way that they've arranged the fixtures and those little FA Cup quarterfinal, I shouldn't say little FA Cup quarterfinals, but those FA Cup quarterfinals, and the semis, means that there isn't any need for anybody to blank. So there won't be an opportunity to have another double for the rest of this season. So it's the perfect opportunity for a free hit.
Will you free hit if there's no wild card?
If there's no unlimited transfers,
no extra wild card,
then yes, I'll be free hitting.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I did, for those of you that are our patrons, I did a little Ohana this week, and I sort of talked through my general feelings about this. And I think the obvious strategy, if you still have your free hit and there isn't unlimited transfers, is to free hit for the double game week, because it gives you that ability to get in players from Aston Villa who you probably aren't going to want to keep for the rest of the season, but you've got them there for the double. Same with Sheffield United potentially, even potentially with Manchester City, and obviously Arsenal. So. Okay.
So just a quick word on this this unlimited transfer thing, this wildcard thing.
Yeah.
Now we don't know. Before you ask us, we don't know whether the game official FPL, whether they are planning to give everybody unlimited transfers to come back. And I have to say, I mean, we were both pretty against it. I mean, I could see why they might do it last week, and we were both pretty against it. However, my stance has kind of softened on it a little bit.
Oh, I bet it has. Mister, I've used my wild card.
Well,
yeah, Mister, I've used my wild card, so I'll happily take another one.
I saw Sarah and Patricia and go, I was like, what are you doing?
Selfish.
No, it wasn't that. I tell you what it was, because, and this is on the honest truth, is that I with what's been going on this week, the world is quite intense right now, right?
Oh,
the world is quite intense. Yeah. There's a lot of intense stuff going on. And I feel like if they opened the game up by giving all the 7 million players a new wildcard, if that just meant that, a bunch of people could do something, to kind of a bit less intense and just bring a bit of fun to their lives.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just feel like if by giving the unlimited transfers thing, all right, I don't think the FPL community would be that happy. I think the Twitter community would be pretty unhappy. I think you would be pretty unhappy. I think I'd be pretty unhappy. All of you guys on the stream would be pretty unhappy about that, because we play the game properly and all the rest of it. However, the masses of the FPL community as it is, the players in FPL, I feel like bringing those people back to the game and just having a bit of fun with it in the last few weeks might just be a bit of a light relief that we all need a little bit of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think over the last week I've done a lot of kind of reading, listening to what people have been saying about FPL, but not just really about FPL, about football generally, and about the reasons why football is back, against some outspoken players who don't want football to be back, the reasons why it's back. And actually, everything that's been said about it's got to be behind closed doors totally makes sense. The fact that they've then decided, okay, well, if it's got to come back, it's important for the country that it comes back, so it's going to be every game, it's going to be live. The format that it's come back in is unprecedented in terms of football.
Oh, 100%.
I've never, even in a World Cup time, never do you get this level of live coverage of games. And the whole purpose of that is about morale. Obviously, it's also about the money, and they need to finish the season.
I was going to say, it's more about the legal ramifications.
But that's why they need to finish the season. They don't need to show every game live on TV. So the fact that they're showing every game live on TV is all about the public and letting the people...
but it's also because they don't want fans congregating going, like, so if next door here didn't have Sky Sports and they say, oh Lee, can I come around and watch the football, it stops all that then, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously you've got pubs are being closed and the grounds can't have, but I think it's a big part of it is about society and giving society something to do and focus on. It also keeps us all inside at times we're mixing and all of that kind of stuff, and I think I can see if we get unlimited transfers, I could see why they've done it. I'll be mightily upset that they've done it because I feel like I've played the game how I've stayed loyal to my plans, and sticking in another wild card just blows my plans out the water.
I get it. I think I stick by my point that I made last week, which was I don't think I would want it in the spirit of the game, but in the spirit of, I was going to say humanity. Goodness me, this is getting deep, isn't it? But just in the spirit of having fun as a race right now, it would be quite a cool thing to do. And I could see why official FPL would do it from that perspective. I can see that. But anyway, listen, we've got that is to be discussed and to be announced as well, by the way.
They'll let us know.
I'm pretty sure in the next few days that'll come out.
But the reality is
it
has to, doesn't it? Because we've only got, a week and a half?
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. It's 17th, right? It's a Wednesday, I think. Yeah. So a week Wednesday, that is when the next Premier League football will be kicked. We've had a couple of super chats, Sam. It won't surprise you, Sam, to hear that Mr. Wynyard has been in with a super chat. He says, with regards to the FCA, Sam, if you guys win at the Spurs Stadium, it'll be the only trophy... be the only trophy to be lifted there in a long time.
So you're going to vote for us, right, Steve? Because you would want me to be happy in some way, surely.
Yeah, Steve, we'll accept that comment if you go vote for us.
If you vote for us 3 times, I'll accept it.
And we've had another chat from super chat from your friend and mine, the Stealthy Panda.
Oh, I love Panda.
Who actually he became a patron of ours this week. So Stealth Panda, thank you for becoming a patron. We love you for that. And he's gone in and
gives me an excuse to use my little panda emoji now.
So now the panda emoji, you know when you have like the frequently used emojis towards your keyboard, it's on your list now. The
probably
going
to be the top corner.
Thanks to Stealth Panda. Yes, so thanks Stealth Panda. Real name Mackenzie, I think. So Mackenzie, thank you for joining us on Patreon.
And I was out when Mackenzie joined, and they was like,
"You'll never get to join.
Who is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's not Panda."
Where's my panda emoji?
Yes, panda emoji.
Right, come on, Sam, get back to
What's
these
he
pictures.
saying?
So,
what's he saying in his
No, he's just saying, just thought I'd drop you a super chat with a heart. That's the kind of guy he is.
Thanks Panda.
Good man. What a legend.
I really weird calling him Panda, but I just love his name so much.
Has got a name.
Stealth Panda is the best name I've ever heard.
Go on then, fixtures. So let's look down these. So go on then. Let's address
them up here,
the elephant in the room, which is the Spurs United game. So
why is that the elephant in the room? It's easy. Easy game.
Why is that easy?
It's not an easy.
Why is that easy? Go on.
I mean it's going to be. It'll be an interesting game. 8 o'clock on the Friday night.
Just before we go into this, I find this really hard to comment on. So we sit here most Sundays under normal circumstances. We say, Sam, what do you think of the? How do you think the Spurs United game is going to go? And you say, oh well, I don't know. Harry Kane's not there, so that that would be difficult for us to score. Moura might play in that central position, or from a United perspective, Rashford injured, so but Fernandes is on form. Does any of that? I find it so hard to sit here and talk about how that game's going to go because we've got no form. We've got barely just a few pictures of some guys in training. I mean, if I was to say right now who I think is going to win that game, I wouldn't have a bloody clue, to be honest with you. Based on the fact that I've seen a lot of decent, Man United training sessions that look pretty intense, and Rashford looks as if he's back and fit, and Pogba may be in contention for the game. I'm looking at it thinking, well, maybe United have got a good chance, but I couldn't tell you why. There's no form, there's no stats, right? That we can no recent stats that we can base any of our bias on.
It's really hard.
It's tough, isn't it?
It is really hard. I mean, and
we're going to be like that for a couple of weeks.
For sure, I think this is one of the reasons why my stance has softened a little on the unlimited transfers thing, because I'm not actually sure how much of an advantage it's going to give us, because we've got unlimited transfers, but what the hell are we basing these transfers on? Yeah. Basically we're going to fill our teams, aren't we, with Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Arsenal and Man City because they've got 2 games.
Yeah.
But then, if you do that, then you're left with them for the rest of the season. And do you want to be left with them? It's good if you like to view that's an issue for me, not so much because I have a wild card. I think from a Spurs point of view, like you were just saying, you've seen a lot of Manchester United. I can honestly say that I've probably seen 3 pictures of Manchester United's training.
Yeah.
Over on Instagram. Not a lot. I have watched, Spurs did play an 11 versus 11 first team squad game.
So tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, Spurs, how ready are they for this game?
They're ready.
Right.
They're ready. Everyone's fully fit, apart from whoever it is that's got COVID. Lamella, Lo Celso, both missing. But the rest of them, all in training, all played in this match. Interestingly, it looked like a first versus second to me, watching it.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're ready. They seem ready. The stuff they're putting out, but they're not going to put out anything that's not looking like they're going to seem ready, are they? I think I think what might bode well for us also bodes well for United in that there's the Mourinho factor. Mm-hmm. So there's that gets you up for it as well a bit more. Okay,
all right. Well, listen, I struggle, guys. Honestly, struggle a bit here to go down this list of fixtures and recommend players and based on form and stats and stuff. I mean, of course we can go back early season and look at form, and of course you can look at the likes of Bruno was really coming to the fore, and you can, even I remember rightly, Diogo Jota for Wolves was had back-to-back double pointers, didn't he, coming into the coronavirus break. But I really struggled to go through this list of fixtures and suggest things to you. The one or two that I might pick out is Norwich at home to Southampton. Again, Norwich deep in the mire, of course, 21 points. I think there's something like 5 points behind Bournemouth, I think, who are second bottom. Southampton probably mid-table, unlikely to be looking up or down, possibly going through the motions a little bit. Maybe I fancy Norwich to do well there. And also, if you look at the shorter to medium term, which we're going to come to a bit later on, Norwich got 3 pretty decent-looking home games in their next 4. I think they've got a trip to Arsenal in there as well. But I think they're at home to Southampton. I think they're home to Brighton in a few weeks' time as well, and then maybe home to Newcastle as well in there as well. So they've got a couple of games against teams that are a bit kind of mid-table and a bit kind of lacking motivation. Brighton, who are kind of... They're down there looking over their shoulders, but that's a bit of a 6-pointer. And then away at Arsenal is obviously tricky. But Norwich, maybe in the short to medium term, they've surely got to be looking at those first 2 games in particular. That game at home to Southampton, if they can get that win on Friday the 19th, surely that gives them a bit of momentum going into those next 3 games and maybe just climbs them up the table a little bit. I don't know. Again, I'm just basing this purely on teams' motivation more than anything else.
What do you make of Arsenal at the moment? Because obviously there's all this talk about Aubameyang and is he staying, is he going?
No new contract and stuff, yeah.
Like, now, if that was... I can only refer it back. If that was Spurs and we were talking about Harry Kane, I would worry massively about the impact that has internally. Now, I looked at the Arsenal training pictures. There's loads of Aubameyang pictures. He looked very happy. He looks, in good spirits. But I don't know what to do about Arsenal because I'm looking at that squad and I'm thinking prior to the break I wasn't hugely keen on owning Arsenal players. I did own Aubameyang, I don't anymore. I didn't get Saka when most people did.
Yeah.
So I don't have any Arsenal coverage for this double currently. That obviously seems like FPL suicide because everybody will, particularly if it's unlimited transfers. But who do you target? Okay. It looks like Aubameyang.
Well, I feel like we're sort of straying into double teams and double players already. So, all right, let's go. Let's just do 1 or 2 more fixtures here. Bournemouth against Palace. I think the potential for Bournemouth to, if they can get that win against a pretty mid-table looking Palace, there's a bit of motivation there as well. Aston Villa versus Chelsea is going to be a very interesting one. Both motivated for completely different reasons. Sheffield United. McGinn potentially back. We'll talk about him in a second because he's a double game weaker. Sheffield United away at mid-table Newcastle. Again, unsure as to the sort of motivations there. So yeah, difficult, guys, to look at the fixture list in double game week 39 and make too many suggestions because frankly we don't have a lot of data to base it on because we're only looking at training pictures and motivations. However, let's have a look at then. Since you seem reasonably keen to have a look at the double game week players and double game week teams, let's discuss that then. So guys, you will know by now. Actually, before we get into this, I just want to give one quick shout out in the live chat to Andy Nash. So Andy, who's a long-term follower of FPL Family, Andy, welcome to the stream tonight. He's saying he is watching the live stream with his 6-week-old baby today. So Andy, congratulations from us here at FPL Family. absolutely brilliant. Hope Little and Mum and yourself
So
are doing
excited
really,
to see a
really
picture
well.
of him watching the live stream. Make sure there's a picture,
We want
Andy.
to see a picture, Andy. We want to see pictures. So let's go and talk about the double game week then, because we got something to base it on there in terms of why we might be selecting some of these players. In my team, I don't have any Aston Villa right now. I have Ender Stevens for Sheffield United. I have Aubameyang and Saka from Arsenal, and I have KDB from Manchester City. So that is what you can take from that is I'm certainly not overloaded right now on double game week players. But do I feel reasonably comfortable that I've got a lot of the main bases covered? Yeah, I do. To be fair, KDB, in my opinion, I think has to be in there. I think ownership dictates that you've got to have him in your side. Whether you got unlimited transfers or not coming into double game week 39, I think KDB's got to be there. Pretty happy to have Aubameyang. I do feel like Aubameyang is one of those, he recovers from injuries reasonably quickly. He's quite a naturally fit sort of player.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the sort of player that could hit the ground running in the Premier League. So I'm kind of happy to have him. Saka probably less so, given that Tierney and Kolasinac probably recovering from their slight knocks. There's probably a bit more of a question mark over Saka. So he's another one that I would probably look to get out.
To hold his position.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. And to be fair to Saka, was showing a lot of promise. And
Hadn't done anything wrong either.
Hadn't done anything wrong. So would I be surprised for him to keep his spot? No. But there is a little bit of a question mark over him.
But we haven't seen how he's come back to training, because it's gonna be all about how they come back, isn't it? And the attitude coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, Arsenal. I think I'm okay with Aubameyang, and I don't think I want anybody else. So who have I got covered there? So Aston Villa, no players. I want to come to those guys in a minute. Sheffield United, I've got Ender Stevens. Again, too many question marks over Lundstram still, isn't there? I think, given where we were with Lundstram. Cast your minds back, guys, for a few months ago. Lundstram was starting to be edged out the team by their new signing, Sander Berg, wasn't it? If I meant Berg or whatever his name was, right? Sander Berg. He was starting to get in ahead of Lundstram. So a lot of people were thinking about getting off of the Lord Lundstram and getting on players like Egan, who comes in at 4.6. Going to pay a bit more for Ender Stevens, but of course he's got that potential bit of attacking threat down that side, likes an assist or two.
There's Baldock as well.
And there's Baldock, of course. And of course Henderson is a bit of a hygiene pick if you haven't got him yet.
Just be wary though, because they've got Manchester United in game week 40 and he can't play.
Okay,
so I own Henderson. I'm obviously going to have him for the double. But if you do go Henderson, then just make sure you've got a second keeper for game week 40.
Yeah. And then going forward, if I look at my attack for Sheffield United, Ollie McBurney. Fleck, potentially. Not a lot there to get me too excited, I don't think.
Well, so this throws up another thing that we should talk about that we haven't discussed, is this ability to have 5 substitutions. Because the new you can make 5 subs in a game is going to make an impact. So I did a video for Scout.
It's going to be horrendous for fantasy football.
Yeah, I did a video this week on Sheffield United on the Scout Insta. If you want to go and watch it, fling over to this FF Scout. It's FF Scout _ it's up there.
I'm glad you've mentioned this, by the way. Crackerjack, thank you, Crackerjack. Just dropped us a super chat saying thoughts on player rotation with 5 subs and potentially limited minutes for players. So there you go. There's a nice segue. And we did have a super chat from Steve as well. Thank you, Steve, for the super chat. He says, I'm basing my picks on a few things. First, avoid teams maybe on the beach and look at who they may be playing for who to bring in. Second, how nailed they are with the fixture congestion. And third, proven quality players. So yeah, that goes back to the point, which is very difficult to base it on form or stats. But if there's 3 things you want to have a look at, motivation of the team they're playing against, how nailed on they are, and proven quality are 3 things you can absolutely look at. But just address that point about the Premier League substitutions. So for those of you guys that don't know, the Premier League have sanctioned the use of 5 substitutions per game. You can have up to 9 on the bench. Yeah. You can use up to 5, and you can use them in 3 time slots, specific time slots. So you can only stop the game to make substitutions 3 times, but you can use 5 if you want to. Yeah. So will we see a game where, I don't know, some manager decides to take 5 players off and put 5 on? It would seem a bit bonkers to me, but it is going to have an impact for FPL.
It will have an impact because there's a few reasons why I think it will have an impact. The first one is to do with player fitness. These players have been not playing professional football now for a lot longer than they would normally have got off in terms of rest periods.
Yeah.
They would not normally get this length of time off without a pre-season friendly or the like. So that's going to have an impact, whether these players are actually fit enough to get through 90 minutes. You've got the injury returnees who definitely probably will not be fit enough to get through 90 minutes, but will they get to 60 minutes? Probably. You've also got the fact then of the different sizes of the squads. So it was apparently discussed for quite a long time, this in the Premier League, because obviously some squads are much, much bigger than others. So if you're allowing a bench to be bigger, that's going to have a bigger impact on the sides with the larger squad. So the likes of Manchester City, who have got lots of players, works in their favour, right? Then the smaller clubs that have less players, it's less of an impact in terms of the bench, but it does mean, so I think, going back to what you were saying about Lundstrom before, I think that it makes Lundstrom an asset again, the fact that they've got 5 substitutions.
Could come in. Yeah.
Because I think we'll see him coming on for 50 minutes of games, 45 minutes of games, because they can make those additional substitutions. So it will give these managers the ability to check, like Wolves, Traore. You can see how a formation change at half-time can absolutely work with a 5-man
Answer me this question. Do you think, if you look at your back five in FPL, are you now more inclined to pick centre-halves because of the energy expended by those guys is less than the full-backs and the wing-backs? I can see rotation on the wings,
I can.
But in the centre-half. So to lead on to that, and we're all looking at Liverpool assets, of course, maybe for at least a couple of games until we can hopefully get the title zone up. Does adding Gomez to Trent Alexander-Arnold, if that's your strategy to go 2 at the back with Liverpool, does that feel like a better thing than Robbo right now?
Yeah.
Gomez over Robertson on the basis
or Van Dijk, if you've got budget.
Or Van Dijk if you've got the budget, yeah, for a bit of extra goal threat, of course. I mean, no, I don't think anybody's thinking about getting rid of Trent right now, right? I think you've probably got to go there. But if you had Trent and Robbo, what are the chances of Robbo getting rested and rotated, given that Liverpool have got the 5 subs that they can make? I don't know. I honestly don't think that Klopp has got many options actually in that position. Of course, he can put Milner there, right? But I don't know. It just got me thinking a bit when you were talking about that. Am I now potentially more inclined to go with the centre halves because they're less likely to be dragged off after sort of 59 minutes? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I think it does have an impact on the way that we will, as hardcore FPL players, I think it will have an impact on how
Speak yourself.
But I think it will have an impact on how we in the FPL community play the game in a way that it won't necessarily so when we were talking before about these unlimited transfers and whether they do it or not to bring players back into the game, those players that come back into the game are doing it for the fun of the game and for the love of football and all of that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that we don't do that, but we also think about these things. Maybe we overthink them and the fact that there's 5 substitutions. So for us, that's a bigger insight into who we pick. So for me, I'm thinking, right, well, how do I feel about this? Because to be honest, with 11 players on the pitch, make it 10, because unless the keeper gets injured, he's not getting subbed. So you've got 10 players on the pitch, half of them are going to be taken off, effectively, during a game.
Potentially, yeah.
And they probably will be, particularly in the early games.
First couple of weeks, maybe, yeah.
So the chances are the players I pick are going to get subbed. Therefore, I need a strong bench. I cannot have a poor bench because I'm going to need it. So I'm going to need players that I think can come on and do something. But I also need to make sure the players I pick on my pitch are likely to be able to do something in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
So rather than looking across their form about 90 minutes and what are their expected goals and all of that for 90-minute periods, I want to be looking at what are their expected goals over a 60-minute period. Or...
Are you therefore looking a bit more at, and I'm not sure I agree with this word always, but you're therefore looking at explosive players more than the steady eddies? I mean, I can't think of a better example right now than in previous seasons, like David Silva, used to just tick over the assist, the odd goal, chip in with points. Would you now be more inclined to look at an Aubameyang maybe, or someone that's going to be more explosive from that perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think
maybe
as we go into the season and we get a bit more of an understanding of how this is going to work, my thoughts would also be, well, which teams, and this is something I haven't looked at yet, but it's something that I'm planning to use the members area for Scout to have a look at, is which teams scored the majority of their goals in first halves. Because if I'm banking on my player getting subbed around 60, 50, whatever minutes, what are their likelihood of them coming out? And there will be teams that come out firing at the beginning of matches. There'll be teams like Spurs who are often very sluggish going into games. So what does that mean? So there's all of that that's kind of playing a big part in my decision making. Add that with the double game week players and you get a bit of a headache because you suddenly start to think, like, so I did this video on Sheffield United looking at the players that you could potentially go for. And as I said before, I don't think that Lundstrom is a bad pick at the moment, because I do think under this new 5 subs thing that he gets minutes.
Tough, isn't it? Because you think you bring in somebody like an Aubameyang for the double game week, and then he plays like 50 minutes twice, and it could throw
because they've got
chaos
players.
onto the double game.
They've got Lacazette up there.
Eddie Nketiah scored a hat-trick today, I think, in a training game.
See?
So who knows? So Stealth Panda, thank you for the comment. He's saying, how does this affect Aguero then with Jesus?
Yeah.
Mate, that is just one headache. I mean, this is going to be Pep roulette, but on another level, isn't it?
Man City, for me, are a nightmare. I mean,
so who are you going to go into double game week 39 with then?
Well,
Man City in a double game week. On any other week, we would be all in, wouldn't we?
Oh, for sure. And to be honest, I probably will be all in, because I feel like if I'm not all in, all hell's going to break loose across the rest of the community. But do you know what I mean? Everyone else is going to go all in on Man City, particularly if it's unlimited transfers or if I'm free hitting, whichever way it is, everyone's all in on Man City. I need to be all in. I've got KDB, that's it. But where do you go? So Sterling, the most out of form player probably, in my opinion, earlier on in this season, but was starting to find some feet towards the end of the last part of the season.
Yeah.
Now we've had quarantine, we don't really know what we're going to see. Hopefully we'll see a return to the Sterling that we all know and we all trust.
Sterling is the sort of player, though. I'm not having this Sterling because I think he is so focused on winning that Champions League. Him in particular. I think City are as a team. I think Pep is as a manager. They'll be second in the Premier League. City will be second in the Premier League.
They are.
So why would they not focus on the 2 cup competitions they've got left? And Sterling, remember, hasn't won the Champions League yet.
Because we don't.
He wants that.
But at the moment, we're talking about the Premier League. They're not talking about that, are they? They're not talking about Champions League or anything like that. I know City will be thinking about it. But we don't know when that's going to be yet.
Yeah.
So their focus has to be on the Premier League, because if they're going to win the Champions League, they have to be fit and firing. So they have to use these Premier League games, in my opinion, as training for those Champions League games when they come. They have to be flying by that point. So in order to get to that, these can't just be...
You can't bring Sterling in with Harry Kane, though. It's too expensive. We've got unlimited money.
That's what they're giving me in compensation. No, they're not. I'm joking. But... So there's Sterling, there's Aguero, but then there's Jesus. I think, to be honest, they're going to share the minutes. You can see it, can't you? You can see Aguero getting 50, Jesus getting 50.
Very difficult, isn't it? Very difficult.
So there's that. Then there's the fact that it's the end of Silva, David, that is, of course. Bernardo was doing well. Laporte's back, so does that make defensive
Is
options?
Leroy Sané going to try and put himself in the shop window if he wants to go? Who knows?
I mean, it is really hard, but I do think that Man City, I think the Champions League, I think you're right, I think that will be their focus, but I think that they have to, these Premier League games almost have to be their pre-season for the Champions League, if that makes sense. They have to be firing.
Yeah. Yeah, and to that end, Pep will want to give players minutes, therefore he's going to use his 5 subs.
He will.
And it's going to be an FPL.
He'll use them all. He'll use them all.
Another one that we haven't even mentioned, Carry256, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Foden will get a chance to play? Well,
Yes.
maybe.
Yes, I do.
I actually think yes,
I
for
think
sure.
he will.
For sure,
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely the sort of player. And when he came in, I mean, he's played very limited minutes in the Premier League so far this season, but has done a good job when he's come in and
Correct.
does get the FPL points. So yeah, I like him, by the way. He's a quality player, absolutely quality player. So City... a minefield, no doubt about it. Arsenal, difficult to know where to go other than Aubameyang. I struggle to stretch to Pepe. I struggle to stretch to Lacazette. I think there are better options out there,
Leno,
even with the
maybe.
double. Leno, if you want to go cheap at the back, and you know that he's going to probably get the minutes.
He's going to play every... Yeah.
I struggle to have anybody defensively for Arsenal, just for reasons that have been obvious for the last 10 years. So, yeah, I'm happy to just have Aubameyang. If Saka gets some minutes, then fine. Aston Villa, then. Talk to me about Aston Villa.
John McGinn.
Now, so you seem really intent on John McGinn, but Grealish is the obvious pick, isn't he?
No. John
Right, go on then. Talk to me about McGinn and Grealish, and in particular, talk to me about the impact that one has on the other. Because early on in the season, when John McGinn was fit and firing and on form, wasn't Grealish a little bit further back? And it wasn't until McGinn got injured that Grealish started being a bit more forward thinking.
I mean, they had a little bit. There was a little period, wasn't there, where he sort of said to Grealish, you go, and that made McGinn sit back a little bit, and then
that drive was McGinn early doors in the season.
Yeah, from the beginning of the season, and I think we almost have to treat this as I know it isn't a new season, but we almost have to treat it like a new season because we are kind of going back to square one for these teams again. And with the likes of McGinn, who hasn't played for a very long time, he will be wanting to get out there and prove a point. And I think we will see the McGinn that we saw in early season as opposed to the McGinn that we saw just prior to injury.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm 100% going back on the McGinn train for the double game week.
Okay. Joe Vill is agreeing with you. He's saying John McGinn for double game week is a punt, but I like it. Sam O'Sullivan, hey Sam, he's saying I'm taking that punt too. So there's some bit of love in the live chat for John McGinn, despite not really have anything to base that on.
He was a legend earlier on in the season.
Just early season form, early season form.
But it lasted a long time, and I genuinely do think that McGinn would. I think had he not got injured, he would still be in my team now. I don't think I'd have got rid of him. Okay,
Niraj Sharma though is saying Grealish and then just the flame emojis. Steve is saying Grealish right now, but we will see. Let's see what else you guys are saying.
Samatta was starting to look half decent just prior to the
absolutely. Notorious Nerd, Jack, Manchester bound, Grealish. Listen, I was listening to, I think it's Andy and David on a Fantasy Football Scout video earlier today, and they were saying that Grealish is that sort of player, and by the way, some of his activity and some of his behaviour during lockdown is well documented. I'm not going to comment on it, but goodness me, naughty boy. He is that sort of, and the guy said it on the Fantasy Football Scout video, they said he's got Vardy-like qualities in terms of... Mahrez maybe, but it's a bit more Vardy-like in terms of, I want to prove you wrong. All right, I've had some headlines written about me. I'm going to come back and let my football do the talking.
I meant more Mahrez in terms of, I want to put myself in a shop window for a move.
Well, maybe there's that as well. I'm not sure. The thing I spoke about before, the fact that if McGinn is going to come back, I would want to see, I think, what impact that has on Grealish before I jump back in on Grealish. Because Grealish is not super cheap, I don't think anymore. But McGinn is.
The reality is you're not going to have that choice, are you? Because we've got
the double.
Straight in with the double.
Yes, you're right.
So yes, you can. Of course, you can wait on Grealish. But if you wait on Grealish, you've missed out on the game week where you actually want him, because these are two quite nice fixtures. Then who have they got afterwards? I have to hang on a minute. I have to bring it up.
Just while you're doing that, then the guys are saying Niraj is saying McGinn, as in I-N, capital I-N, McGinn. Let's see. Dominic Jarvis. Oh, Dom J, how you doing, Dom? He's saying problem that Grealish had prior to lockdown was the lack of quality around him. Yes, you're probably right about that. General Zod. Hey, General, he is saying, Samatta is a decent shout. Yeah, Sam likes to look at that. Super cheap as well, right?
Yes, he's super cheap. And as a third, he's a nice third.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
particularly with the double. So they've got Sheffield United and Chelsea. So Sheffield United got something to play for, Chelsea got something to play for. So those will be two decent matches in that double because they've all got something that they need to fight for. Then they've got Newcastle, Wolves and Liverpool. So the reality is that if you're going to have one of the Aston Villa players, you surely want them for the double because you don't... All right, Newcastle, fine, you could have them for that. But Wolves, that's a really hard game. Liverpool, that's a really hard game.
Well, I'll just stop you there and just bring up the screen here. So here is, I think, what you're looking at on your iPad there, which is the the sort of short to medium term next sort of 4 fixtures. And I give some credit to Neil from Fantasy Football Scout at Scontoriga on Twitter for kind of mocking this up for us in terms of what he considers the fixture difficulties to be in terms of shades of red and blue.
Yeah.
And you're right, from an Aston Villa perspective, not only does the double, 2 home games, but they're tricky looking home games.
With teams who want to play.
With teams that want to, well, Chelsea absolutely do want to play. And Sheffield United, absolutely right, Sheffield United. Then it's away at Newcastle, who may be lacking motivation, but Newcastle, I think I'm right in saying that will be the first home game they'll have, and maybe they'll want to put something into that, even without fans. You know what Newcastle are like at home. And then it's Wolves and then it's Liverpool. So the medium term for Villa doesn't look that great, to be honest with you. So if you're going to bring in Grealish, do you want him long term?
Well, this is the thing. So this is why a free hit is perfect for the likes of Villa, because I'm not sure I want them. I'm not sure about Man City, because after Arsenal and Burnley, they then have Chelsea and Liverpool, which are tough games. Do I want to be trebled on Man City for those? Probably not.
Yeah.
Same with, well, Arsenal's a bit different. They've got Man City and Brighton and Southampton, Norwich and Wolves, so probably would be all right to have more than one Arsenal, to be honest. And then who's the other one? Sheffield United. So Aston Villa and Newcastle, fine, happy with that. Then they've got Man United, who Henderson can't play against. And then they've got Spurs, who, well, let's see where we are at Spurs by the time. So again, these are all clubs that I'm not sure I really want 3 of.
Yeah.
But if I've got a free hit or unlimited transfers, I feel like everyone else is going to pile in. I'm not going to go 3 of each, but I feel like you want them. But then there's a lot that I then want to. So it's
making the no new wildcard play your free hit scenario quite attractive, I think. From that perspective, that's looking like quite an attractive scenario right now.
I think what's going to happen with me is free hit and then wildcard if there's no new transfers, unlimited transfers. If there is unlimited transfers, it'll be unlimited transfers. Just get whoever the hell I want, and then for the and then I'll wildcard straight after it again. So I'll effectively do a wildcard and then a wildcard, because I don't want to keep these players who I'm bringing in for a double game week.
Okay, all right. Any other teams in that short to medium term that you think, actually, maybe they don't have a double game week in 39, but maybe I want to look at them? There's Norwich, by the way, that I mentioned earlier on in the stream about the fact that they've got 3 nice-looking home fixtures there that they've got to win those first 2. Imagine Norwich come out of those first 2 games there against Southampton and Everton at home, and they get 6 points out of that. It's on for them, isn't it? It's on for them.
Can you really see?
I can't.
Can you really see Norwich getting 6 points? They haven't got back-to-back wins. Have they got that all season?
But surely, if I'm Norwich, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the coronavirus stoppage as an opportunity, actually, because their form was so bad and they were getting battered because other teams around them were performing better. They weren't on good form. Now, form has kind of gone out the window now, so forget form. So that's a positive for them. So they were in bad form, other teams were in good form, and they were getting battered.
They had some injuries as well, didn't they?
They had some injuries, so they're coming back. So that's another reason to be cheerful. 2 home games in a row that could get them 6 points, reasons to be cheerful. If I'm Norwich, I'm looking at this saying, right, forget what happened this season. We go again, 9 games. We start with 2 really, really nice-looking fixtures against teams that are undermotivated. Let's get out there and get 6 points. And then we go to Arsenal. Anything there is a bonus. And then we've got a massive, massive potential game then against Brighton, 6-pointer. It could be on for Daniel Farke. I'm not going to sit here and say I want to treble on Norwich, but if I had unlimited transfers, or if I was playing for fun, I know a lot of you guys are not playing for fun, I get that, but if I was going to have a bit of a punt, maybe I'd have a look at Pookie or Cantwell. Cantwell is super cheap still, remember? Pretty cheap.
I think it's Cantwell or Pookie though, isn't it?
Yeah, but why not have a little punt on those? There's 2 really nice fixtures. If Farke can get the mentality right, if he can fire them up to get going in those 2 games, why not have a punt on one of those 2?
With respect, there is no... Why is that funny? There is no reason why the mentality should be wrong at Norwich at the moment. Is there?
What do you mean?
There is no excuse. If they come back with a poor mentality now, knowing that they could save themselves...
Yeah.
Southampton, Everton, you could forgive. Okay, bothered, we're safe.
Yeah.
You can forgive that. Norwich, if they come back with a attitude, they deserve to go down.
They have to see it as an opportunity. They were dead and buried, and then if the season was to get cancelled, they're relegated.
Yeah.
Now the season's starting again. They have to see that they just have to see it as an opportunity. Josh is saying Max Aarons as well, 4.3, fighting for their lives. Yeah, not expecting too many clean sheets, but we know what Max Aarons can do going forward. Niraj is just saying, get on the Pookie party. That's going to be a thing again.
No.
He's also saying Tim Krul as well, potentially. Likes a penalty save. Sam O'Sullivan is saying
why have you
Tim
brought that
Krul.
up, Sam?
FPL Companion, Cantwell, Buendia, Pookie, Krul, all decent options. Listen, guys, I'm just putting it out there as a topic for discussion. Get in the chat, guys. If you're watching the replay, get in the comments below. Let us know what you think of Norwich. 2 plum games against undermotivated teams to get Farke's boys back in the mix. Could it happen?
Maybe.
Could it happen?
I'll take your Norwich and I'll raise you with Wolves, who are a far better option than Norwich. Because
I'm not saying get Norwich instead of Wolves. I'm saying Wolves are a good option as well. No doubt about it. Their fixtures look good.
Yeah. So West Ham to start now. Obviously West Ham in the relegation battle, so they will. You would expect to be up for it. Followed by Bournemouth, who again in the relegation battle, so would expect to be up for it. But then and Aston Villa and then Arsenal. So they have got to play players. They have got to play teams who have got stuff to fight for. There's no denying that. So there should be good games, but those are the sort of games that Wolves like. Like they love a proper dig-in. They love a kind of a fight about them, haven't they? There's a real kind of power about them. Now, for me, the interesting thing from Wolves' point of view is the formation that he's going to set up in. And as I've mentioned already, with the 5 transfers, I think we could see both formations being utilised depending upon which team that they're playing against, and therefore the strategy that the opposition puts out. So
the one thing I will say about that, I think you're right about the formation, is that if he goes for that 3-5-2 and he puts Doherty and can't think of it is on the other side, but if he plays with those wing backs, they're going to expend a lot of energy. So there could be a few unhappy 59th minute substitutions for Doherty owners.
Yeah,
you can see that.
There could be, because it could be, it could go right. This, we're playing against whoever. We're going to go 3-5-2, whatever. And then actually after 55 minutes, right, you lot are coming off because I need you for the next game, and I've got to play that same because it's only 4 days later. And we're going to play in a different formation. So I think it means that the likes of Traoré, minutes depending upon this shoulder issue. Now, I haven't really heard a lot about Traoré's shoulder and whether it was dealt with during this period.
Did he need an operation? I don't think so. He just needed to rest it, didn't he? Which he would have done.
They were talking about an operation. At the end of, just before we went into lockdown, they were talking about how he needed an operation, and it could either happen now or it could happen at the end of the season. Now, I don't really know, because I didn't really follow it, whether anything has happened or what, but I have seen him back in training, so I'm presuming he's fit. So he's an option, and I do think he might make you a bit unhappy as a manager, because he might sit on the bench at the start of the game, but he will come on. I'm almost sure of it, the way that they're going to play. I own 2 Wolves players currently. The Lord himself in Jimenez, who, I mean, you're never going anywhere, and Bolly.
Okay,
now,
all right.
Bolly is an interesting one for me, because it's a question mark as to, am I on the wrong Wolves defender? Because actually,
where else would you go?
Well, there's Doherty.
He's going to cost you a lot more.
Who's going to cost me a lot more, but is the upside of that worth it? If you know what I mean.
Depends on formation, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I need to have a look at. Little think about whether I'm on the right Wolves defender. But actually, I'm fairly comfortable owning 2 Wolves. I think 2 Wolves going into this period is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, currently I've got 3 in my team as well. I've got Patricio in goal.
Oh, you've got double
I've got
defence.
Matt Doherty, and I've got Diogo Jota up front.
Why have you got double defence?
Because I think I looked at these fixtures coming up and thought they're all games that they can keep clean sheets in. And I remember going, because I've played my wild card. I played it a couple of weeks before the lockdown, or maybe even a week before the lockdown. And one of the players I just had to have, because he was in such amazing form, was Doherty. I really, really wanted Doherty. And of course now form goes out the window. We've got to see what sort of Doherty comes back from the break, etc., etc. But before the break, he was on fire.
I
remember him being in Europe and popping up in the box and scoring Franny Jeffers style Fox in the box 6-yarders. Absolutely unbelievable. But then I thought he's not enough of a differential, so I wanted to go double and maybe have Patricio. And I've got Diogo Jota, just because I fancied him, and again he was on form. So I feel like moving away from any of those 3 would be a bit of a sideways move. One thing that has been said in the chat, which I do agree with, is that Diogo Jota in previous seasons has been a bit of a slow starter. We saw that at the beginning of this season. So my concern there is that...
So was Jimenez at the start of this season.
Well, yeah, so my concern with... Not so much Jimenez, because I think he's much more of a well-rounded striker. But with Jota, my concern is that if he's coming out of the break and he takes that time to get back up to speed again... Might we not see Jota until game week 45, 46, and then by then it's too late, we're finished, right? So that's my concern with Jota. But with Doherty, I'm very happy to have him. And as you rightly say, West Ham away, Bournemouth at home, Villa away, Arsenal at home, they are fixtures that I think you want a couple of Wolves in, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the defensive double up though, I'm really not. And I'm not saying that just because it's you. But I think if I had unlimited transfers, I'd change the keeper, just simply because West Ham, Bournemouth, Aston Villa and Arsenal, they are all sides, on paper look great, but they are all sides that are fighting for their lives in one form or another, and therefore they are sides that need to score goals.
Yeah.
Now, I think Doherty's a great option, because obviously there's the upside potential there. Patricio, unless he saves a penalty, not so much of an upside option, because I think that they will be goals conceded.
Okay. All right. A quick word on another team that have got a reasonable ticker in Chelsea. Aston Villa away, of course, which, I mean, Villa will be scrapping. Home to Man City. Man City, is that a game they might be going into knowing the league is done? They want to focus on other things. Then they're away at West Ham, home to Watford. So it looks, I mean, that looks okay for Chelsea. And they're going to be buoyed by the fact that looks like they've got a very, very good signing coming in the door in Timo Werner.
Where are they getting the money from?
Well, because they haven't spent, they've had this ban, haven't they, for ages? So suddenly they've got all this money to spend.
No one else has got any money, no.
Well, this is because Chelsea have worked in a different way. They haven't spent in previous windows. So they've got this money saved up, ready to spend. They must have thought pre-coronavirus, we are, fair play to the owners, right? Abramovich has obviously gone in there and he said, right, we've not been able to spend that money for 2 transfer windows. Now, we need to, I'm going to save that. It's not gone away. I've not put that into the coffers. I am going to spend it in the summer. And actually Chelsea, I think, are in a fantastic position now because the market will completely slow down, as you say. Transfer fees will probably start coming down because there'll be less demand. We're already seeing it with Liverpool. Can't afford Werner, can't afford the wages, etc.
And I think we'll see that this will be probably one of the most expensive transfers that we see this summer.
Timo Werner, yeah, possibly. I can see 1 or 2 big ones. I think Sancho's probably going to go for big money, but we'll see. But yeah, so
what is big money these days?
Yeah, well, that is to be defined across the summer, no doubt about it. But Chelsea will no doubt be buoyed. And I had this conversation with FPL Tips on Twitter earlier about the way that their team might look for next season. They've got, obviously Pulisic will, start to, he'll have settled now. He'll start to find his form and become the player that we think he is. They've got Hakim Ziyech coming in, Timo Werner potentially. I'm not sure where this lives. Tammy Abraham, of course. But they're going to have quality all over the pitch. So Chelsea, absolutely a team to look out for next season, no doubt. But their fixtures in the short term here, you thinking of investing?
Yeah, maybe. I think they're similar to Wolves in that all the players that they've got in the next 4, all the teams that they play have all got something that they need to be playing for.
All right.
Which makes them hard games, but I do think there's options.
All right. And from a Manchester United perspective then, keeping on that theme of teams that are chasing for that top 4 spot, Man United, Spurs away, Sheffield United at home, Brighton away, Bournemouth at home. So again, after that Spurs game, which looks a bit red, the rest don't look too bad.
The Sheffield United game is hard, but made easier by no Henderson in goal.
Yeah.
So there's goals in that. At the moment I own Bruno.
Okay. Looking at Rashford potentially.
Yeah.
Looking at Pogba.
Yeah. No. I'm looking at Rashford. Yes. I'm not looking at Pogba. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, and that's not very far. But yes, I'm definitely looking at Rashford. I think Rashford's a fantastic player and a great option. And I think Rashford, and I just think he's got some real, I follow him on Instagram, and obviously he's deeply affected by what's been going on in the world at the moment. And he is, the passion in that man right now.
Done some great things in lockdown, Rashford.
Yeah.
Done some fantastic things.
And the passion in him and in his posts, if he brings that to the pitch, which quite frankly I think he will be an outstanding asset to own over the last few weeks.
I agree. All right, before we go...
One little shout out for just... And I know they're mid-table nonsense and we normally would say they're on the beach and forget about them, but I just think it's worth just keeping an eye on Newcastle, because if they're going to because if they're going to get taken over, they will...
What?
And Poch comes, there will be players there looking at that thinking, do I want to just... put in a bit of effort.
Okay, you heard it here first, guys. Newcastle, the team to watch after all
just
that
keep
nonsense.
an eye on them.
Before we go, let's have a quick look at our teams then. I don't know if you guys can see this. Might be a bit small on the screen, but there's me on the left, Sam on the right. The teams aren't looking massively different, although there are a few in there that are different. You've got Dele Alli, which I guess you're still pretty happy with.
We've got
Jimenez.
Dele Alli.
Jimenez is in there for you, which is looking good. Danny Ings, of course.
Not sure about him at the moment.
And then you've got Bolly at the back, etc. Both of us, are you on Calvert-Lewin? You're on Calvert-Lewin, right?
Yeah, I've got Ings and Calvert-Lewin at the moment. They'll go probably for Rashford and Kane, probably.
Right, talk me through that one then.
It's a lot of money in my bank.
Yeah, how much money's in your bank?
Quite a lot.
20 million?
Not that much.
I think we'd all like to do Ings and Calvert-Lewin to Rashford and Kane, but there's a thing called a budget.
Yeah, because if I do Kane, I won't do Ali, so Ali will get downgraded. And then I'll
Tell what you need, Sam. You need a new wild card. You need unlimited transfers.
I don't need a new wild card. I've got a wild card. I've got a nice wild card in my back pocket, along with my free hit and my bench.
If you could say the 2 players in your side that are the problems, who do you want out of that team?
Calvert-Lewin and Danny Ings will be the
Calvert-Lewin and Danny Ings.
Oh, probably Mason Holgate as well. I'm not that keen on having him anymore.
Mason Holgate, yeah, I think I would tend to agree with you on that. I'm just going to bring up my team. I think the 2 players that I think I would look to get out, I think I agree with you on the Calvert-Lewin. Watch him troll us and get a ton of points. Possibly the goalie, actually. Yeah, possibly Patricio, because that double up looks a little bit lopsided if Wolves concede, of course. Saka, potentially a bit of a problem, but it's so cheap. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin, if I was going to spend a transfer right now, probably would be where I'd spend it.
Don't spend it yet.
Don't spend it yet, though. There we go,
you
guys.
can't.
That is the end of this FPL family. Thank you very much for joining us again. A quick shout out before we go for, you would have seen it already once, going to vote for us. So, guys, thank you for everybody that's in the live stream, that's in the comments, in the chat that said, I voted for you, I voted for you. Thank you very much. We love you and we appreciate you for doing that. Link is in the description below. You now we are at the end of the stream, so you've got permission. That's not permission, that's totally the wrong word. We would now love you, obviously, to go and vote for us in the Football Content Awards. Link is in the description below, and we would love you to go and do that. So there we go. That is the end of tonight's FPL Family. I talked about more than I thought we were going to talk about, frankly. I wasn't quite sure where we were going to go tonight, but we've got a bit of double game week, a bit of short to medium term thinking. But one thing's for sure, with only about 10 days until football kicks off again, it won't be long, I don't think, until official release the game.
By the time
we know a bit more about the wildcard situation or no wildcard situation, and you can start tinkering with your teams again.
I think by the time we stream next Sunday, we'll have a live game.
I think next Sunday's stream will be based around a live game.
It has to be.
Yes.
I think
so.
3 days after the live stream.
I think so, yeah. I don't want to preempt FPL Towers. They will do whatever best for FPL Towers, and we don't know. But yes, I suspect this time next week, when we will be back with another FPL family, I suspect we might have a live game. Let's see.
And
Guys, go on.
Unlimited? Not unlimited.
No
that
new wildcard.
No
new wildcard. Guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Leave us a like before you go, and if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell, and we'll see you this time next week when hopefully we'll have a live game.
Thanks,
see you soon, guys.